Hey YouTube, my name's Nick James and I'm going to be teaching you how to play guitar. Today we're going to be learning shell chords, and I'm not sure why no one really teaches this because it's helped me a lot in learning the fretboard and understanding just chord structures in general. So what we're going to learn today is how to play shell chords, what they're made up of, and how to use them to help really guide you in learning the fretboard. So these bottom strings here, here the heavy strings, we use them to play chords as the root note, and the reason is because it is going to ring under the whole chord and just gives it a nice foundation. And with shell chords, what we're doing is actually only playing the 1, the 7, and the 3rd. We leave the 5th completely out of it. So these are 3-note chords, and they're used to play jazz chords or blues chords. And in the intro, I was playing, kind of like a 12-bar jazz blues. And how you get that is you play a G dominant 7 by using these 3 notes instead of playing this whole bulky chord. You can just use these 3 notes, and that outlines G dominant 7 perfectly. So we'll talk about how to play these shell chords on the E note or E string rooted, and then the A string. So we're going to start with the major 7 chord. If you watched my previous video introducing jazz chords, we talked about a major 7, a minor 7, and a dominant 7. And those will really make up kind of your basic jazz and blues chords. And we're going to start with the C chord, and how we're going to play a shell chord using the A string as the root. We're going to start with our middle finger on the C note, so 3rd fret of the A string, and then we're going to play the major 3rd right here, which comes right out of your C shape, and then we're going to play the major 7th right here, which is B, and that gives us the C major 7 as like a shell voicing chord. And a good way to practice this is, we know that C major has 3 major chords and 3 minor chords. So let's work our way up the neck using these shell chords on this rooted A string. So we have C major 7, and then we have D minor, and followed by that E minor. So how do we play those? Is we're going to root the D note on the same A string, 5th fret, and we're just going to drop this finger down an extra fret, so we're playing the minor 3rd, which is F. And with any minor chord, the 7th actually moves down half a step or 1 fret. So in C major 7, the chord looks something like this. But when you go and move up to D minor, the 7 is right under the D note, just skipping over a string. And that's your, flat 7. And the same thing for E minor. You just move it up another 2 frets. So we have C major, D minor, and E minor. And these are minor 7s, but the shell voicing. So it's already sounding really nice just with these 3 chords. Now, if we wanted to play the 4 chord, it's F major 7, just like how C is a major 7. So we're going to move up to the rooted note on F and use that same shape. So we're almost all the way up the chord scale. We got now the 5 chord, which is a major chord, but it's actually a dominant 7 if we play the 7. So what we're going to actually do is, take our F major 7 and we're going to move it up 2 frets, but we're going to actually, instead of playing this note, we're going to drop it a half step or 1 fret. And that's how we get to our bluesy chords, because this has a major third. This flat 7 is kind of rubbing against the chord to make it sound like it's got more tension. And that's the whole purpose of the 5 chord. So if we played C, D minor, E minor, F major, G would be dominant, because it resolves back to the 1. And if we kind of looked into that, what's happening is when we go back to this C chord from the 5 dominant 7, the flat 7 is only a half step away from the major third of C, which is E, and then the major third of G is half a step from C. So B to C. So that's the whole function of a 5 chord, is it brings you back to 1. So we've got the major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, and then minor 7 for A. Now with this B minor 7 flat 5, we have B and we have B, D, and A. And because there's no 5 in this shell chord or 5th note, we're able to use the same shape, and then it goes all the way back to the 1. C. So that's on the A string, and you can also play these shell chords on the E string. And how you're going to do that, we'll use the same chord, C, or key of C major. And in our C major chord, the E shape is kind of what we're working out of here. So we have C rooted on the E string, but we're actually going to take the octave of C, which is found on the D string 10th fret, and we're just going to move it down 1 fret. So it's playing the major 7, which is the B note. And then we're going to still play the major third here. So again, we're playing the 1, the 3, and the 7 in these shell chords. There is no 5th in them. So for this major 7, C major 7, we're just going to basically play C, B, and E, just like that. So the pointer finger's on the 8th fret, and then on the 9th fret we have on the D string and G string our middle finger and ring finger. So it's the same chord. And if we want to play a minor chord, we're actually going to just stack them all on the same string there. So this is a D minor 7 as a shell voicing, where we're only playing again the 1, the minor third, and the flat 7. And those are your shell voicings, and you can use these to help really understand the fretboard, because when you're playing chords, The root note is gonna be mostly on these heavier strings to just act as a foundation for the rest of the chord tones. And you know, this little exercise of learning these shell voicings will really help you familiarize yourself with the fretboard and understand kind of where things are. But the last chord we didn't touch on yet was the dominant 7 on the E string. So if we have C as the major 7, we're in the key of C. The 5, G, is the dominant 7. And how we get to that again is we take the 1, we're going to skip over this A string and just play the D string on the 3rd fret, which is an F note. And then we're going to play the major 3rd, which is B. So you can play your entire chord scale, and that's how I would try to practice this is, you know, play some progressions in this kind of shell chord voicing, play the entire chord scale. This is just going to really help you unlock the fretboard and get a better understanding of where you're at. That way it's not so much of a mystery. And then when you're jamming with your friends, most importantly, you could play these shell chords and it sounds great because it gives the other player the opportunity to play all these high strings without so much noise in the background. You'll hear this a lot in a 12-bar blues. People will just play these 3-string shell chords or 3-note shell chords. But thanks for watching, and if you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe and like and share it to anybody else that wants to learn guitar. And if you have any questions, please write them in the comments and we'll try to answer them.